Okay, so what's an SDR party? Because I I didn't know what that was before I heard you. What is that?
Yeah, so you probably saw my post about talking about 2025 and everything that we had did that year. So, one of the main groups that we serve here at Nooks are SDRs. Really,
Okay.
anybody that's cold calling. So, your sales development reps or your business development reps that are just, ripping dials all day long. And those people are typically not the types of personas that get invited to go
Never.
to events. Exactly.
Never.
Like, when you're a manager, VP, like a director, like, those are always the ones that are getting invited to events.
Right.
But that means it's even harder to get them to go to an event because they're being inundated with
Yeah.
message after message of, "Do you wanna go to this dinner? Do you wanna go to Topgolf? Like, do you wanna, like, take this meeting with me?"
Right.
And my idea around the SDR party was to get a huge groundswell of who our actual users are, talking about why they love the product or just getting to know the product to begin with. Because at the end of the day, I used this comparison in a call with my leadership team the other day, where if you have kids, you probably aren't searching the internet like, "What toys can I buy so that my kid will leave me alone?" Um, your kid is probably
An
coming to
iPad.
you and being like, "I saw this commercial for Nido or for this Barbie dream house, and, like, mommy, like, daddy, can I please get this? Like, I need this."
Uh,
And so that was the thought process around the SDR parties, where if we could get all the SDRs behind a tool, loving a tool, then they could go back to their managers and be like, "Hey, have we ever considered getting this?"
SDRs have buy-in from
Yes,
then they can take it to the leadership. Yeah.
exactly. And if they go to a new company and they're even if they're just interviewing at other companies too, "Oh, what tools do you know how to use?" Like, "I know how to use Nux." That's, like, a great way just to get other managers, like, talking
Mhm.
about us and to get also that brand, like, exposure as well. Get the people that are actually using your product talking
Uh-huh.
about you, not just the decision makers, which makes it even easier if they do come on as a customer to onboard them because their SDRs are already a little bit bought in to, like, who we are as a brand. They're excited to use it, so you're meeting less resistance at the end for your CSMs.
Super smart. And was this your idea, like, initially to, like, go after SDRs and build, like, this party framework around them?
Yes. So we did our first party in Austin and it was a huge success. Everybody really loved it. We had a really great turnout. Like I'll say for all events, you always have to get way more registrants than you think you're going to need to get there. So if you're planning
Absolutely.
to have a party of like
Especially if it's a free event.
especially yes, especially
For
if it's
sure.
a free event and you're giving out free drinks, like free food, 100%. If you
Yeah.
need 100 people there, then plan to get like 700 registrations, but we had a really great turnout in Austin. So we decided to replicate the process in a couple other cities as well last year. We did them kind of like all during the summer, which was kind of nice because it's when events are a little bit slower, not a ton going on. So
Interesting.
hoping to replicate that again this year to really just amplify our brand and our new messaging as well since we added a new product is now a great opportunity to go back out into the field to make sure that the SDRs are learning about that.
Do you track, attribution for I know this is in the startup world, like, it's a nasty it can be, attribution can be tricky, right? It's like, how do you determine what is a successful SDR party in terms of, like, for the company, for Nooks?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, when it comes to measuring, let's just say ROI, is not the same for an event like an SDR party. And again, like if there's listeners that are thinking like, "Oh, I don't sell like to SDRs," any type of end user party is going to be different than going to a trade show, right? Because the goals are different. The
Right,
goal at a trade show is I want to bring in new leads. I
right.
want to book meetings and generate demand. So I can go in afterwards and see, okay, I created all of these deals that were worth X amount of dollars and compare that to the X amount of dollars I spent. Versus for these user generated events are mainly about brand reach, like in development and like customer like health. So from the customer end, you can technically predict or look into specific numbers. Because if you
Yeah.
have a whole team from one of your customers come, you could then use that as an open door for to expand their product base that they're using to upsell them on something new. So you can use that as a foot in the door and then measure based off of your upsell deals. But mainly what we're focused on is using this as a play to also help our engagement on social media. So we were using some of
Mm,
the video clips that we got from the events and posting it on LinkedIn,
super
and then
smart.
looking at, okay, how many impressions did those get? How many likes, comments, like reposts? And we would see like a swell in when we would post them of other SDRs like in Atlanta, in Boston posting those same days as well, which also, of course, creates that domino effect of driving more people to your page, to your website, and traffic, which might be hard to sell to leadership in the beginning of
Right,
here's the how can I prove that like this business like turned into this?
right,
You necessarily can't. You just have to, number one, have believe in the program that you're putting on and show that the brand that it's driving through likes, comments, reposts, how many people are attending, and that brand reach, track the upticks and who's visiting your site during that week as well. And then we would also pass those lists off to our SDR teams to go ahead and dial through them. And it's a great reason to get a manager on the phone and be like, hey, we just had 10 people like from your team like come to this event last night. Like, we'd love
right.
to talk to you about the product. They seemed like they were super interested. We'd love to tell you more. So, if you have an outbound calling team, that's a great way to use the motion of that as well to track how you're influencing these accounts moving forward.
Um, super smart. I think this is brilliant. And yes, I totally agree with you that to me, I think, okay, like if you're Nooks, how else do you get in front of this many people at scale without paid? And then even if it's paid, it's not a all of those SDRs that came to your event, they're gonna remember the experience, right? They're gonna like they may have met their maybe they met their future wife there. Maybe
Yeah,
they met their co-founder. Like
making
they're
love
never
connections.
yeah, they're never gonna forget you, right? So
Yeah,
and like when I try to explain this to people, I'm like, this is not an ad, right? People aren't opting into an email. This is you're creating an experience that like people will forever be connected to you. And it takes time to turn that into like, that to mature into like revenue, right?
you're right.
So I think that's super smart. Tell me about your VIP events, because this was actually something that was interesting to me. How do you define a VIP event? And, we'll talk about some of the swag stuff, but like, what are some of the things that you considered like, because I know you're big on like, you don't just want to do like the same old like, "Hey,
Uh-huh.
come out to Top Golf," or like, "Hey, come to a dinner." Like, what are you guys doing that's unique and different?
Yeah, so I'm not gonna lie, doing hosted dinners right now is tough. It's hard if you don't have already, let's say, hey, I know these 5 people in San Francisco that are for sure gonna come to this dinner.
Mhm.
And so I'm gonna build this dinner around them. If you don't already have a strong base in a city, sometimes it's not as big of a prop to be like, "Hey, come and get this free steak," because we have to remember these people are getting invited to have a free steak probably
Everywhere.
once a week, especially people that live in New York City. Like, they have the
Right,
highest concentration of VP plus decision makers at Fortune 500 and enterprise companies. What are
right.
you doing that for them that they can't normally get or aren't gonna normally purchase themselves on a weekend out. So that's when I was like, "Hey, I think it would be a great idea for us to try doing some sporting events, instead of dinners. Let's try getting a suite at a baseball game or a basketball game, invite people to come to that and talk to them that way." We saw a ton of success in that, and it's a method that we still do. Even if you go to our website, you could see our upcoming events. We do baseball, we do basketball, we're doing a FIFA World Cup suite
You
this
guys did the Super Bowl
oh,
too, right?
we
Was
didn't
it the
do the
Super
Super Bowl,
Oh,
but
okay,
I
okay,
would
okay. I think you were
highly
talking about it.
recommend. Yeah, I feel like we're not quite big enough yet to do a
Okay,
suite at the Super Bowl, but if
that's
you
fair.
are, you should because those are things that are more of an experience that people love, especially in sports heavy cities. Like, do we know anybody in like New York, Boston, Chicago that's going to turn down free tickets, like, to a game? Probably not.
No.
Um, they love their sports, and it's a great opportunity to give them something that they'll remember, while also still being in a little bit of an isolated area. Since we do the suites, you're able to talk, to mingle, to give out swag if you want to. A lot of them have TVs if you wanna present slides in there. So that's been a really strong like method for us, and we invite people based off of who's our target accounts, who are those strong like ABM contenders in that
Yeah.
city that we're trying to go after.
How do you build your lead list and, like, what's the outreach look like for like, if you're like, let's say I'm a VIP, I'm executive at, Uber or whatever, like, maybe Uber's not a good example. But let's say, like, I'm head of sales or VP of
Uh-huh.
sales, and Nooks is trying to court me to get me to basically, get 100 seats, right, for our organization. What's the process look like in terms of, like, outbound and, like, what does that look like in terms of, like, ABM? To
Yeah,
get me there, like, how do I go from, like, "I don't know who you guys are" to, like, "In your suite"?
exactly. So I will say when it comes to inviting people to your own events, you're always going to see more success with things that are currently in pipeline because those are people that already kind of know who you are. They're already in the process, and it's still a great opportunity to invite them because it's helping move that deal forward. It's helping them get a little bit more bought in. It's even helping them maybe to expand, like, hey, instead of just doing this, buying this tool for one team, we're gonna buy it for all of our teams. And it's harder when you're trying to target brand new people who have maybe never heard of Nooks before. So when
Mm,
we're thinking about where we want to book these cities, that's kind of first where it starts is looking in your CRM, seeing where these top people are located and then ranking it based off of there. So let's say most of your targets are in Boston and you're like,
okay.
okay, I need to try and get
Great
all these
city.
people. Yeah, Boston, great city. Love it there. We do a lot of Red Sox games, so we love the Sox. And booking a suite there. We'll create like the landing page and all the logistics around that, and then working in strong partnership with sales to make sure the right people are being invited. So on our end, we have Peter Mullins is our VP of community, and he is one of our like faces that people recognize from everywhere. He goes to so many of our events. He speaks at so many events in industry conferences.
He's like
And so
Jared for, the insurance, auto insurance, right?
yes, exactly, exactly. Yeah, he's our Flo. Flo from Progressive.
So
Is Peter from Nooks, and he'll reach out to people. I hope he listens to this. He'll reach out to people in the community, and because he's a little bit more well known or he's met them at a dinner before, then that goes a little ways with getting new people. We also will send like a curated list to maybe our CRO if we're trying to invite other CROs to be like, hey, can you reach out to them on LinkedIn and see if they would
mm,
like to come to this event? You can also leverage the people from your end that are going to the event. So let's say we have our CPO Rohan is going to go to the event. we can pitch it specifically with that he's going. We would know you are interested in more AI innovation for your team, bringing on more AI tools. Like, what better opportunity than to meet like the mind behind all of our products? Another strategy that we use as well is getting key stakeholders to register first. These are usually customers or maybe people that, like I mentioned, you're already in op with. They're a really great connect. You get them to register to go, and then you can use that a little bit as leverage to try and get other people to go by saying, like, hey, we already have someone from HubSpot, someone from Salesforce, someone from Miro and ZoomInfo are coming, and we love it if you can join us too. Because people want to come, usually the secondary reason is to get to know about your product. That's not the number one reason why they're going. They're
Right.
going for the activity and to get
They're
to
going for the box seats.
yeah, they're going for the box seats and they're going to meet other people
For
and
sure.
network in their space. So leveraging like the attendee list to show them that this is worth your time and going to is also very valuable. And lastly, like I mentioned, partnering with sales and giving them really like targeted, curated lists of like, hey, here's who you can reach out to. We've run spiffs before with the SDRs of like, hey, if you get the
Sorry,
first
what's a
person,
spiff?
a spiff is like a reward. So like it's a competition. So
Oh,
we'll
okay, I've never
run
heard that, sorry.
yeah,
Yeah.
we'll run there it's an acronym. It stands for something. Let me look it up. What does spiff stand for?
You're one of those people where you're like, "I can't let this go. This is not I have to figure it out."
Yeah.
Spiff, no, I've heard of, like, spiffy, but, like, not as spiff in the context of, like,
Sales
spiff.
incentives. So it's like
Okay.
sales performance incentives. So
Ah, okay, okay, like
yes.
bonus or, like, if you hit goal or something like that.
Right. So we'll be like,
Yeah,
if you guys get 5 people to go to this event, then you get to go to the event. Or if you
smart,
get X amount of people to sign up for this event, then you get to go to another event in the future or something
smart.
like that. So making it incentivized for your team as well to
Mhm,
want to go out to their network, reach out and invite people to go.
okay, that makes sense. So not just dinners. Dinners are kind of like everybody that's in the C-suite is getting invited to dinners. How do you stand out? You stand out by doing something different. Sporting events are hot. If you can get box seats, even better. Leveraging the guest lists, leveraging the C-suite internally, and then like basically saying, "Hey, so and so is going to be here. You should probably be here." And then spiffs.
Yeah, and it's all really catered towards the audience too. Like sporting events works for us because our primary ICP is going to be those sales
Oh,
executives.
salespeople love it.
Salespeople love
They love sports. They
they
love I
love
mean, they have
sports.
fantasy leagues and all this stuff that they're doing on the weekend, so that's yeah,
Exactly. But when I worked at a healthcare tech company. A lot of healthcare executives love to golf. So just thinking about what your ICP likes to do in their free time and leveraging that to have like your company sponsoring something not only they'd enjoy doing, but
right,
get to meet a group of people that are like-minded individuals.
yeah, that they wouldn't be able to meet. I love that. Um, I wanted to talk about and shift gears and talk about something that I think is interesting, like when we were talking about swag, you had mentioned, yeah, like we don't really, you held something up. I think it was like this thing, and you're like, I'm never going to forget this really cool. I think it was like a pen or something, right? And
Yeah.
you're like, this is what I'm talking about when it comes to swag. And then I was like, well, what are you guys doing that's different? And you mentioned like Letterman, like varsity Letterman jackets. Tell me about that. What is that all about? That's crazy.
Yes, so everyone was obsessed with these jackets, and I have to tell you, like, I fought for these things. People were like, "Do we need to really spend money on this?" And I was like, "No, like, it's gonna be cool. We have to do it. People are gonna love it." And they did. So well, I really like to lean into a theme.
Okay.
And our biggest conference of the year as far as, like, all the right people in the right room at the right time is the Pipeline Conference that happens in Dallas in the fall. So we were just there this past October,
Okay.
and our booth theme was around football. So we raffled off like some football memorabilia. We had like football themed stickers. And I was like, wouldn't it be cool if we all got matching varsity jackets that said, like, number one, like SDR tool on the back, or number one, like sales pipeline engine? Really driving home like the message that you want the attendees to perceive, and people loved them. It was a great way for people to immediately recognize who we were, like, "Oh,
You're the team on the floor on the was
yeah,
wearing the jackets. Okay, got it.
yeah."
Okay.
The team on the show floor, and, like, we were all wearing them, and people wanted them. They came up to us and they're like, "I want this jacket," which is so funny because 'cause you're like, if you don't work for that company, usually people don't like to walk around, like, repping, like, other random
Right.
companies' swag, but they really liked it and thought it was a fun and cool idea, and it's something people still talk about. I was actually doing some reporting yesterday, and I was going through gong calls, and one of our prospects mentioned on the gong calls, specifically the varsity jackets from Pipeline. She was like, "Those were so cool." Like, everyone was talking about those, and she's still talking about them. So it's
Yeah.
like less about like, "Hey, I wanna give you this pen, this notebook," they're gonna throw in their bag and forget and throw in the trash probably, but create experiences that people will remember. So they definitely remembered our jackets. And then instead of, we did give away, water bottles and stickers and like your typical like swag stuff, but we
Right.
also raffled off like some football memorabilia, keeping with the theme since it was in Dallas. We did some Dallas Cowboys stuff, and people really got excited about that. They got into it. It helps drive traffic to the booth. And it is something that people like will still talk about, or they'll have it in their home. Like, I'm obviously going to hang up a signed jersey, and every time I look at it, I'm going to be like, I won that from Nooks.
Yeah. That's super brilliant. I mean, I'm a sports guy. Like I grew up like playing football, so like to me, I'm like I instantly like made the connection. I'm like, you guys are in Dallas. You have the Letterman jackets. Like it's to me, it's a slam dunk. Um, that makes a lot of sense. How do you think about? Because I know this is a tricky thing. And we kind of touched on this a little bit, but like when you think about putting together a campaign start to finish, pre-marketing to like close sale, like do you have a formula or framework that like you think through or like how you contextualized, like maybe it's planning, right? Or like how do you think about events? How do you like in terms of your strategy or like a framework that you use if you have one?
Yeah. So when it comes to start to end campaign for an event, what I'm thinking is mainly three things. So first, I'm thinking, why is this important? Why should we do this kind of event? Why should it be here? Why should it be targeting like this specific audience? And this is all based off of whatever your goals are that you're setting. If you guys are running off of annual goals or quarterly goals. So, for example, like we have yearly and quarterly goals that we're feeding into for Pipeline. And one of
Sure.
the big focuses was, okay, we really want to grow our enterprise business. So if I'm thinking about, I want to do an event for enterprise people because we're trying to drive up in that market more, take a look at reporting and see, oh, there's a ton of enterprise ABM target companies based in Dallas that I want to go after. And I know that now we've just passed the end of like Q2, let's say. People won't be as busy. I can maybe get them to go to an event. And then in the middle part, I'm building out like, okay, what's happening the day of? This is all the logistics,
Sure.
who needs to be there, who needs to talk to the right people, creating notes so people are prepared when they're coming into the event of who they need to target, who we need to try to book meetings with, who's the most important in the room. Then following it up post event with how can we make sure these people are staying engaged? That can
Uh,
mean a lot of different things. That can mean that putting them in a drip campaign and making sure that they're getting emails. That can mean maybe you do a ton of events and you're about to do another one in Dallas in 2 months. So you pull that list up again and you're going to invite them again to another event happening soon. Maybe that means connecting with all of them on LinkedIn. That's kind of like one of our like default things. Like you come and connect with us, we're going to connect with you on LinkedIn. We're going to have the SDRs follow up with you, give you a call, try to book a meeting. Post event is super important when it comes to your relationship, like with sales, because at the end of the day, they're the ones that are driving the success really from
right.
these events. They're the ones that are reaching out, taking these meetings, taking these demos, and making sure that they're going through the pipeline. So, from the marketing perspective, if we're not putting them, like, in a drip campaign or doing anything, like, marketing specific, the first focus is gonna be making sure that the sales team gets their information that they need as soon as possible. So, putting in a ticket to my ops team, explaining everything that I need. We do automatic Slack notifications telling reps when they had somebody that comes to an event. They also get that same copy in an automated email as well, telling them, "Hey, follow up with this person with instructions on how to follow up with them so that everybody has that information right at the ready to shorten that time span between when they connected with us in person and when we're trying to get in touch with them to book a meeting."
Sounds very sophisticated. I'm like, we need to do more.
It's really
We
easy.
need
Like if you
uh,
use HubSpot, Salesforce, Zapier, you could use to make connections through any CRM
sure,
really.
sure.
But automating as much as you can with your ops team, I would say is
Is the
key.
key. Yeah, ops and sales is the key
Yeah.
there. And then what in terms of, like, attribution, like, how much revenue and or pipeline could can you comfortably say or, oh, like, or you if you're able to say, has events had on the impact for Nooks in terms of, like, revenue, sales, pipeline?
Yeah. So I can't say any specific numbers, but here is what I'll say. So last year, we were able to 3x. Actually, I could probably say this. Here, let me reword this.
I don't wanna get you fired.
In trouble. Yeah, so I don't get in trouble. So, how do I wanna phrase this? Industry standards would tell you that a good ROI from an event is anywhere from 3 to 5x your
Okay,
return. So when I'm looking at our events from last year, we're definitely falling within that window, but also knowing that maybe not every single event is going to 5x, right? You're also going to sometimes make up for that with other events where you may be like 10 or 20x your return. And you're doing that by strategically picking what's working or not working for you. So we grew events at Nooks from before they hired me. I think they were doing maybe about like 10 trade show like conferences, events throughout the year. So
okay.
like not a lot. And when I started, we grew that to we did 107 events last
Wow.
year. We're doing even more this year. So obviously something's going right
Yeah.
over here.
They're giving you more budget, it's working.
Yeah, they're giving us more budget. It's working. We're
Yeah.
able to try new ideas and expand on some new kinds of events as well this year that we're really excited about. But I would say that the key to making sure that you are driving ROI is having a healthy balance between the kinds of events you do. Like, don't go all in on just conferences or all in
Mm,
on just
on dinners.
community events or all in like on just dinners.
Uh,
Spread yourself out a little bit to balance between what you're doing. Some of it might be more targeted towards a certain segment. Some of it might be more targeted towards brand awareness. But all of those things will help work within each other to create a flywheel that's like consistently like moving and churning out outcome. So then at the end of the year you can evaluate what's working, what's not working,
sure.
and what should we double down on. Now, it's going to work differently depending on what stage of business you're in. Like being a startup, like here at Nooks, we have the luxury to try things again and again to see what works, see what sticks, run experiments. And
Right.
some, if your budget is restricting you, you might not be able to do that. So probably just being
If you're
creative.
a bootstrap founder, you may have not have
Yeah.
access to
Yeah. Getting creative, like with the programs that you do have and try and do things like a little bit differently.
So I'd love to get your feedback on this. So we actually do dinners for founders locally in Richmond. Um we have everybody pay to attend. It's not a huge amount. But I've learned that if people have skin in the game, they're more likely to show up.
Yes.
And also like we're on the hook for anything we order. Like food and bev is a real thing, right? F&B.
Mhm.
And so w- dinners are going great. We're about to do our fourth one. We're thinking of doubling down on them. It's what would you add into the mix for given that like we don't have a huge budget and that we are a bootstrap company, like what would you do differently and or add if you were in my shoes or our shoes?
Hmm.
And we're specifically targeting founders that are doing a half a million to, sorry, a half a million to 3 million in revenue, or they've raised 2 million, or they've raised a million or had a $2 million exit.
Okay.
So basically, not huge companies.
Yeah. Do you guys go to SaaStr?
We don't, but they just did a startup weekend event here. That's part of like their thing. I think that's part of their thing.
Yeah, they have a lot of startups at SaaStr, and I've seen some success from like really small bootstrap companies from going in. Like you don't need to pay to like have a booth. You could just pay to fly out to San Francisco, go on the show floor and come up with something really kitschy and funny. There was a startup that was at HubSpot Inbound that was walking around outside the convention center with a horse, like with an actual, like
With a real horse.
with a real horse, like a full-sized horse.
That's
And they were
funny.
handing out these business cards that you have, the little horse like meme. It
Yeah.
had, like, the horse, like, meme on it with a QR code to, like, scan and enter to win,
The
like
horse. You could win the horse.
yeah, you could enter yeah, that would have been awesome. I would like to enter to win the horse, but I took a picture with the horse, and they're, like, "Post it on social media and tag us, and you'll get, like, an extra entry for this
Smart.
prize." So you can always do something that's, like, really out of the box, like, an eye-catching,
Yeah.
like they did with the horse, and be like, "Hey, you're not gonna forget this because this is one real crazy thing." Or it could be anything that you're giving away, but with the incentive of having people post on socials. So that can kind of help get your name out there. Something I've seen work like community wise as well is starting Slack communities.
Yep.
So bringing people together like in one place, and if you grow your Slack community to like 1,000, like 2,000 people, then you kind of already have a base of people that you know will be engaged and interested to go in your dinners. But
Smart.
that's kind of where I would start as far as like things you could do for as low cost as possible, is having that outreach to as many people as possible, creating community spaces, i.e., like a Slack group. It could be a
Yep.
LinkedIn group as well. Or going to shows where you know your right ICP is going to be there. Just buy a pass to attend, or even don't buy a pass to attend, walk
I've
around
done that.
outside with
I've
like
done
a snake or something, and
Get
just
a
be
horse.
yeah, get a horse, be in the city, like, at that time,
Yep.
and get in front of as many people as possible. Have little swag items in your bag, have your cards, like, at the ready so that you can connect with people live there while they're all in one room.
This is great. Thank you so much for the wisdom. I have one segment before we get out of here. It's called the one by one by one.
Okay.
So, one room that has made an impact on your life or career. It doesn't necessarily have to be work related. One book or quote. Basically, one book and then one quote. So, like a book that you recommend the most or you're reading right now doesn't have to be the book. It could be any book, and then a quote, of course.
Okay, let me think for a second. See, I need to say, like, a good book, you know? Duh, duh, duh. Like, looking over here, like, at my bookshelf, like, which one do I wanna say? Hmm.
Doesn't have to be the book, it can be any book.
Could be any book? You don't
Yeah.
want me to say any book.
Well, I don't know what you have on yourself, so you're probably right, but
Yeah.
do you have a book that you recommend to
Yeah.
people or that you gift a lot?
Oh, yes. But it's gonna be very niche. Okay, wait.
That's fine.
So the first
Then
question was what room?
yeah, what room?
Hmm.
Do you want me to give you an example of one for me?
Yes.
Okay. So when I was this is probably when I was in university, I was I went somebody invited me to this seminar and I didn't know what it was. And this guy was like, "Hey, you got to come check out this guy speak. He's like friends with Robert Kiyosaki. This is like a couple years, like this is many moons ago, right? So like this is Robert Kiyosaki back then, not whoever he is now. I need to clarify because people get involved in weird stuff and their names. And so I was at the seminar. I go there. I didn't know what was going on. I'm a broke college student. I go there, and this guy goes on to tell the story about how he basically did the opposite of what all his peers and friends had done. So like he didn't go to school. He instead of working for a company, he started a business. He didn't get married earlier. He waited till like he was in like his like late 40s to get married. And basically like he had the most craziest like experiences and stories that he was able to tell, and it was very captivating. It was a very good presentation, and so I was like, "Man, I think that guy knows something. I think he's onto something." And the core theme was like, "Don't do what everybody else is doing. Do the exact opposite. Like, follow what makes sense for you." And I don't know why, I just took that advice and I said, "Oh, I'll try this out." And that room has changed my life because everything that I've done with not everything, but for the most part in my early, 20s and 30s, I lived the life that was true to me versus what everybody else was doing. And I could like honestly say that I'm content with what I've been able to create and build. I don't have any regrets up until this point. And for me, that was one of the most impactful rooms from for me in my life. Yeah.
That was amazing. I would say for me, the most impactful room of my life was
Doesn't have to be the most impactful, by the way. It can be one
okay.
of the rooms that has made an I just wanna clarify because that's a tall order. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say one of the rooms that has made the most impact for me is probably my first real, like, big event I ever really worked on. When I
Mm,
was in college, I co-chaired an organization for about a year and a half, um, leading the planning for our biennial gala at the university. And that was my first time in a leadership position where I was like actually hiring and like managing people at the young age of like 20. And you're like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like,
what's going on?
yeah, you're creating a leadership team, having to meet with them, like, every week, having to mentor them on how to mentor their teams, and the whole entire experience, like, it was just a great learning opportunity for me, I think without the pressure of being in, like, a paid environment. Like, none of us are being paid, like, to do this. We're
Yeah.
doing this for fun, like, essentially, because we want to, and I guess to put on your resume. But it was a great chance to get to really create something from start to finish that everybody you knew got to enjoy, that friends, that family got to go to, getting to work like with my peers and learn, what to do and what not to
Mhm,
do. Like, I'm
uh-huh.
very, like, type A, and I like things to be, like, my specific way when it comes to an event. Learning that can't always be the case. The first rule
Right.
of events is that what can go wrong will go wrong, must go wrong, like, in fact. So, being able to take things in stride, like, everything I learned from that role I still replicate in my day to day in all of my corporate roles. And I would say my mentors that I had there as well, all the faculty from our student activities board, shout out Miami University of Ohio, undefeated in basketball and undefeated in my heart this season. Yeah,
That's a good way of
fantastic
putting it.
people to work with.
That's great. Was that your quote, by the way? I think you may have slipped your quote in there.
No,
Oh,
my quote is actually gonna be from Walt Disney. I'm a big, Disney
okay.
nerd, so I actually have this quote on my personal website too, where he says, "If you can dream it, you can do it."
I like
And
that.
that's something that I always, like, strongly believe in. I think when I first graduated and I told my dad that I wanted to work in events, he thought I was crazy. I was a first generation college graduate of both of my parents, and there's a lot of pressure
Oh,
riding
yeah,
on you to, like, be, like, a lawyer or a doctor or,
for
like, an
sure.
accountant. Like, events manager was not something that they ever thought I would be able to, like, have, like, in a career in. My dad was like, "If you wanna work at events, I'll just get you a job at Six Flags," which
Oh my
we would be fun. Like, I feel like doing events for Six Flags would be fun. But,
oh my gosh.
and now here I am, like, working for this huge tech company,
Crushing it.
being able to go to travel to places that I've never been before, getting to constantly meet new people, and getting to use my creativity too. Like, events is something you shouldn't be afraid to have fun in. You can
Yeah.
tell when people are at events and they're not having fun. Like, they just have their normal branding from their website slapped on a banner, slapped on a backdrop, and, like, their employees that are working the booth look like they'd rather be anywhere else, like, but at this conference.
Yeah.
So that's something that I really try and implement in every event is do something a little bit fun and unique at each conference, at each event we're putting on, making sure that the best people are going to them and really bringing, like, the energy and knowing that with tech, you always have the opportunity to get to try, like, and do something different. So think
Yeah.
of, like, the craziest idea you've ever had, like, for a trade show, and try it. Like, chances are it probably isn't that crazy, and people will actually really, really like it, and they'll remember you.
It's almost like the more crazier, the better, right?
Yeah, at this point, like, you go on a trade show, how many booths are there? Like, some of them, like, thousands of booths,
Right.
and you know how many booths I go to, I don't remember, like, anything about them or their
Most
brand, like
90% probably.
yeah, probably,
Yeah.
like, 90% of them, and how many of them just, like, spam me with emails afterwards, and that mean nothing, like, to me, versus how many of them actually pick up the phone and try and call me. So those are, like, all things that I really try to make the difference in, like, those personal, like, human connections and making sure that you're always, like, almost trying to, like, one up yourself, like, a little bit in the creativity department.
Love it. I'm not letting you leave though until you give me the book.
Okay, the book. Okay, listen, I'm a really big fantasy person, so
You're the second person on the podcast who said that. Yeah.
okay, what was their favorite book?
I don't remember, but it was like a women's fantasy kind of like book or like girls or like young girls or I don't remember. I didn't know the book
I'm
at all.
probably
Like I
about
was
to say
lost.
the same thing. Like,
What's
I'm
the
very
book?
I'm very deep into my fantasy readings. When I read, I typically do like to escape to another world. My
Fair.
personal favorite book right now is the Throne of Glass series,
Okay.
by Sarah J. Maas. I
I think
think
it may have been that, but I'm not sure. The author sounds familiar, the title doesn't.
okay, well, we have to connect because,
I can
she
connect. You know what? She's into events too. She
perfect.
does events. Yeah.
Perfect. And
Yeah,
it's
I can
funny
connect you.
because the amount of conferences I go to and I bring up these books, so many other women specifically are like, "Oh, I love those books," and we end up talking about it for, like, a long time. But, I would say the Throne of Glass books, I would highly recommend,
Okay.
for any age. They're a great epic fantasy tale. I
Are
think
they, like, teen friendly? Could I get them for, like, my nieces or no? I gotta wait until they
yeah,
hit a little
well
bit more age on, like,
I
go up a
I
little.
would say that the first, like, 4 are very, like, preteen friendly, and then the
Okay.
last 3 are probably more, like, teenager.
Okay. They're
Uh
teenagers. They're teenagers.
oh,
Yeah.
perfect. Yeah, you should get these for
Yeah.
them
Okay.
because I think they do a great job at showing the story of a girl that came from mostly nothing to becoming like her real actualized self in such a powerful like and unique way that talks about you know how you're grappling with power. What do you do when you have so much at stake? What are
Mm,
sacrifices that you have to give up for the greater good. And, how does this relate to events? Not much, but I would say that
I was waiting for you to connect the dots, man. I love that.
no, not
Yeah.
at all, but maybe just for leadership, like, on a whole, about creating communities and spaces around you of
Yeah,
people that you trust, like, and value their opinion.
for
The
sure.
main character, like, in these books, like, I feel like I can relate to because she's very headstrong. She gets in her head a lot and is like, "I know the path. I know the right way. I'm not gonna tell anybody, and I'm just gonna go ahead and do it," which makes for a really compelling plot line because 'cause you're always wondering, like, what's gonna happen? What's her
Sure.
next ace up her sleeve? But being, like, in events and being a leader is like humbling yourself. It's like those moments where it's like you have to accept that you don't know everything. You
Yep.
cannot anticipate everything. And you have to sometimes learn to go with the flow. And if you're starting out early in your career, I think that's the hardest thing like to get past is it's like I've planned this perfect event. I'm going to show up and everything's going to be perfect. and then it's not the case and you have, like, a mental breakdown. Like, that's definitely happened to me before.
I'm
Um
not laughing at you having a mental breakdown. I'm laughing because it happens, right? Like, it's like, you're like, "Oh, this is gonna
Yeah.
be great," and, like, it's the whole thing's on fire, so
Right. So you have to have people around you that you can rely on. Like, work with the rest of your marketing team, like, have those systems in place so not every single thing like falls on your shoulders, and really work with the sales teams, work with other teams to make sure that leads are going through the pipeline, that leads are being followed up on, because one person can't carry the weight of the world.
I love that. One person can't carry the weight of the world. Good reminder. This has been great. Alicia, where do we connect with you? People wanna hear about Nooks. They wanna follow you on your personal website, or, I don't know if you have a newsletter, LinkedIn. I know you're on there as well, so
Yeah, maybe I
where
should
you want them to
start
connect
a
with you?
newsletter. You're giving me ideas.
You might. I mean, you got all this game. Shoot, you might as well give it away instead of hoarding it. I know you're not hoarding it, but
I
yeah, like
know. I'd actually
there's
love, if people can DM me on LinkedIn and tell me their swag ideas that they have, because that's
ooh, that's
always like
very
I hate swag. I hate, like, figuring out what swag to do. Like, I know I said one of my ideas was doing giveaways, which I've defaulted to, like, a lot
the
just 'cause
pith.
I just hate a pen. Like, I hate a pen, I hate a charger, like, I hate a notebook, so if anybody has done something really funny, really cool, would love to hear about it. Um, I love getting, like, a fun little tchotchke that I haven't seen before, so
Yeah.
you can follow me on LinkedIn. I also sometimes post from the Nooks account as well. So if you want to follow Nooks, we post a lot of our recaps from events that we do on our Nooks LinkedIn as well.
Okay. That's great. That's fantastic. Thank you so much for stopping by. I'm going to be hitting you up in 6 months to get all the gems and jewels, and I want to know what you guys are doing that's new and cutting edge, and how you've, how many people have DM'd you about swag.
Yeah, I think we should start like a swag like Slack group where
That's
everybody
actually smart. That's actually really smart. It's
posting
actually really,
pictures of swag that they've gotten before at shows, and I'm like, that's a good idea.
yeah, that's actually really smart. Um, yeah, the best, like Mary Kay. You're familiar with Mary Kay? Have you heard of Mary Kay?
Mhm.
So they just give you a car, right?
Yeah,
Like that's your swag, right? So I
right.
don't know if you guys are giving away cars at SDR parties, but maybe that's like the next
No,
level. Yeah.
no, but, that would be cool though. I have done in the past wrapped some, like, Teslas and stuff as, like, out of home ads.
Yeah.
So
There you go. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for stopping by the pod. This has been great. And let's do it again soon.